Welcome to That's a Tap. Back at it. Your boys CT and DJ ready to chop this thing up. The breakdown of the revamped card 279. The UFC pulled some strings. What a crazy 24 hours, DJ. We're about to upload our previous
Yeah,
recorded breakdown. We had to do a take two.
we're doing a take two, man. Absolutely. Yeah, we're back here for take two of UFC 279. Our whole preview of in our previous episode just goes out the window and into the bin because all these matchups have changed. It's same but different.
We
um,
might wake up with it. We might wake up tomorrow with another matchup.
Look, I'll tell you this. I was up a little bit late last night. I was watching the weigh-in show, and they were making comments as well. Everyone had weighed in. We still hadn't seen Hamza, so they were predicting this already. But then obviously it got too late, and I just went to bed. And I woke up to this news, and not just the news of him missing weight, but, the whole card's pretty much changed. They've kept the same fighters, and this whole card's different now. Let me ask you a question straight off the bat. Do you reckon the changes made the card better or worse?
Under the circumstances, I think it's made it better.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
it's unexpected. We know, last minute change, but no fights fallen out. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean,
Looks
kudos
the
to
main
the
event's better. The co-main makes more sense.
yeah.
And but just before we hit on the matchups, like what do you make of? I've never seen a fighter miss weight by 8 pounds. Like what?
Well, Dana came out and said that he was having some medical issues with the cut, and the doctors advised him not to cut any further. So he obviously had to stop. Clearly, the UFC didn't want to lose the matchup. It'll be interesting to know how early the UFC knew about this, because obviously, from our point of view, it was just all last minute. Like you said, we go to sleep and we wake up and it's a new card. They must have known a little bit earlier than what we did, because they would have had to need time to get all this together now and juggle the card again. Interestingly enough, apparently Dustin Poirier also was contacted to see if he could step in, which he was ready to step in to fight Diaz, which would have also been a good fight. And I agree with you. I think the new card is better, my point of view. The main events now are a lot more competitive, right? Not to say Diaz couldn't hang with Chimaev, but obviously, we spoke about it in this other video, but just to quickly touch on it, Chimaev's this hungry guy coming up, tearing through the division, and you've got Diaz, who's in his last fight of the contract to the end of his career. And Ferguson makes sense, right? Like, and he's on his losing skid as well. Another like a fan favorite fighter, and you got two big stars going at each other. A lot of people wanted this matchup, so I think makes it a lot better. And the Chimaev Holland beef is real. We all know that, and they don't like each other. They're the reason why the press conference got cancelled yesterday. And look, the only issue I have with the core main event is that because the beef is so real, that fight deserved to have that proper preparation for it. Like, we would have loved to see the best of Chimaev and the best of Holland, right? How much time did Holland have to adjust, right? It so happened to be that he was fighting catchweight already, Holland, that is, so that helped him slot into this a lot easier, because Hamza obviously lost the weight by 8 pounds, which was huge. But yeah, look, he was obviously preparing for a 3-round fight. Now it's going to be a 5-round fight. How much is that going to benefit Holland? All these questions, right? So I think, are we getting the best of both fighters for this? Because that beef is so real. Again, a fight that a lot of people want to see. Will the result be a true reflection of their skills? Is my only question there. And I guess then you got the third fight, which is Jing Liang and D-Rod. I probably feel like Li Jingliang got the worst deal out of the lot, because everything else worked out for the better, right? You got a real beef fight, you got two legends fighting, and then you got Lee, who weighed in at 170, and he's fighting D-Rod. Don't forget, while he's a welterweighter, he was going to fight catchweight with Holland, right? So he's weighing in at 180, so he's already given up some weight, Lee, that is. And also, D-Rod's a lot more dangerous fighter in that division compared to Ferguson, who's just going into that division. A lot of respect for him too. Obviously, a lot of respect for all these guys for taking up those fights and still keeping the card together and still making it an exciting fight. And kudos to the UFC as well. But I think, man, I feel like it's a bit unprofessional on Chimaev said, I don't know what's going on. We can't comment. We don't know the medical complications, obviously, but there was a lot of hype. I just don't know. I feel like he's been spoiling the party a lot in terms of, being the reason to cancel the press conference, and now obviously being the reason to rejig this whole thing, right? So I think, maybe he's taken the fight thing too seriously, but he needs to remember the other parts that go into it, like making weight and professionalism, I guess. So
yeah, we know he's had the health issue in the past with COVID.
yes,
Remember,
correct.
he almost gave it away. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that was related to it, but
Yeah,
there's one way that could repair his name, which is to basically come out, put on a dominant performance against Holland. But I think it's a tougher matchup for him.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Holland's a lot more tougher compared to Diaz. Obviously we got Holland again, kind of in that same trajectory, a younger fighter. Big step up for Holland too. Like he's fighting the number 3 guy in the division, right? Like I said, we don't know. We don't know what the complications were. Like these could have been completely out of his control. And he's made weight before, right? And he's fought short notice fights. He's done so much. Look, and don't let this take away from what a great fighter he is. He's very skilled in that sense. So we'll get to see it. We'll get to see tomorrow, like the real outcome and sort of how much that's impacted. But let's get into it, CD. Like UFC 279 again, whole new main event. Let's talk about the main event. We got Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson stepping in to the welterweight stage, and then you got Diaz, obviously, who usually fights in that weight class. But obviously, as I said, 2 legends of the game. A lot of people want to see this matchup. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, after seeing the ceremonial weigh-ins as well, completely agree exactly what Nate Diaz said. Those two should have fought. There's mutual respect for each other. Like they both really, acknowledged each other, and great times of their careers. I think just a better overall matchup.
Yeah,
like I said, something for the OGs. Of this
correct.
thing. And happy that they get the shine. Happy that it's main event, and I think it's 50-50. Like it's just two guys that both need a win.
Absolutely. But let me point this out though. I don't think a loss for either of these guys is going to make them lose any stock, because Ferguson's obviously stepping in short notice. A lot of respect, a lot of people, a lot of new fans for him. Diaz is win or loss doesn't matter for Nate Diaz. That's his style of fighting. Fans always follow him, so either person's not going to lose any stock. I feel it's kind of like the universe realigned everything to make it more fair for everyone. I mean, if it's his last UFC fight, you know what I mean? Like now it's a proper send off, a proper farewell. This is the fight that everyone wants to see. Interesting. I think I don't know the odds, but I would assume Diaz would be favorite. Given I don't know, it's hard because obviously it's his natural weight class. But interesting matchup, interesting fight, and I like the fight. I like this fight. What are your predictions?
Yeah, I think it goes all 5.
Yeah,
and I think El Kukui pulls this one out by decision.
Yeah.
We know he dishes punishment. He can take some punishment, and I think Diaz is going to be, a warrior like he always is. But I think he's going to, take a lot of hits.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm with you on this one. I think Ferguson takes it. It's definitely. I feel it's going to be a decision, but you never know. It's hard to finish Diaz, but at the same time, I'm just going purely based off Tony's first round with Chandler. Chandler's a top level opponent, and before that knockout, Tony was doing really well. So he seemed revamped and reinvigorated. The only question mark is obviously when you go into camp, you prepare for a specific opponent based on their style, and then you got like a whole new opponent in front of you. But that applies to both guys, right? They have to adjust. So I'm just gonna go with Tony too. I'd love to say Diaz, or a draw, man. Majority draw.
Yep. Yeah, and shout out to Dustin Poirier, who confirmed, Ariel Helwani has just confirmed he was called to step in and accepted.
He accepted too, and he was willing to make weight. He was willing to make that 6-pound cut in such short notice to make the fight possible. Would have been a great fight too. I think, again, great fighter. even though he's got a fight lined up. He's been calling for this Diaz fight. Let's not forget that fight was locked in and it then fell off. So there's that. And then we got the core main. I think the core main is going to have a lot of attention. I heard some boos when Chimaev walked out to the ceremonial weigh-in. See, the fans are a bit frustrated, I feel. But that makes it all the more, it adds to the drama, and the beef is real, right? And yeah, look, these two were the main, I guess, people behind the whole scuffle yesterday at the press conference. So now they get to, sort it out inside the cage, which is the right way to do. So here we are. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh man, I'm excited. I cannot wait for this thing. Right, talk about real street beefs.
Yeah,
we two mouths on them.
yeah.
You mentioned big step up for Holland. Hamzat rank 3, but Holland. Imagine if he pulls off a win. This is you take a risk, and sometimes it can pay off for you if you pull it off.
Yep.
And that's the quickest way to get back up. And
Yeah.
actually, I'll put it this way: even if Holland has an admirable loss, he could really get his name out there. Remember his name? I mentioned his name was on the back of the pandemic and taking on all these fights, fighting quickly, winning. That's what Holland's known for. He's stepped in short notice. He's agreed. He's always down. He's a G. He's doesn't give no Fs, and he's ready. And I think as long as he can not, as long as he doesn't get stopped, by Hamzat, he'll be doing all right.
Yeah, which is a tall task, right? Hamzat hits hard. He's knocked out middleweights. So obviously, while they're not fighting in welterweight, they're still fighting sort of below middleweight weight limit. You're right, man. Like I think in the other episode that unfortunately won't go up, we spoke about how Holland needs to, hold his, apply the brakes a little bit and stop taking short notice fights and build his brand up again. To your point of obviously bringing that sort of excitement back again. But funnily enough, one day removed and he's done one of those short notice ones. But this one actually adds to his stock. I think win or lose, a lot of people are going to respect this to take on a killer like Hamzat. And look, man, it's a good fight. It's a good matchup, right? You couldn't ask.
If this was the imagine if this poster we're looking at was the original announced pay-per-view. I'd have been like, man, they hit it out of the park with Diaz, Ferguson, and then this is the co-main. Like this is what it should have been all along.
100% agree. And look, it's one of those fights where you can say it's a wrestler versus a striker, but we know Hamzat can strike well too. Where things will get tested is how good is Holland's wrestling defense now. Because if you recall the Brunson and the Vettori fight, obviously he was out grappled and out wrestled. Whereas, we need to see that because Hamzat obviously is a dominant wrestler, right? And if anything, Hamzat will probably try and apply their wrestling skills to neutralize Holland's striking. So we'll see. It's interesting, right? Let's see. Let's go with picks. Who are you picking?
Yeah, I got to go with my man Holland.
Yeah,
on this one. On a serious note, I think Hamzat still wins.
Yeah,
but I want Holland to win.
Yeah,
and 5 rounds. Give us your insight onto how that's going to play a factor.
It's going to play a huge factor, right? Because I don't think Holland was. You could argue because you should always be prepared. Your fitness should be up there regardless. And Holland being someone who's known for those short notice fights, right? He's used to those sort of, working on his fitness and his cardio on a regular basis. But let's not forget, Hamzat was actually preparing for a 5-round fight, right?
Yeah.
We also can't forget that Hamzat's not gone past 3 rounds in the UFC. The longest fight he's had is a 3-rounder with Gilbert Burns, right? And then
what if there's a legit health? What if there's a legit thing where he's weaker?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so many ifs here, right? So was Holland prepared for the 5 rounds, and how much has that extra 2 rounds affected? And from what I heard, apparently Holland was the one who said, we'll take 5 rounds, let's go, And then to your point, Chimaev seems like the weight cut wasn't the best, and there was some issues with cramps, etc. So how much did that compromise him, right? And you never know. You always go into a fight with niggles. You're never like fully 100% when you go into fights because you're coming off at least 8 strong weeks of camp, which you're sparring, you're getting pushed around, you taking some punches, taking some shots. So you're always going to go in there with some bumps and bruises. But look, how much of that weight cut's going to play a factor as well would be interesting to see. Let's not forget in that fight with Gilbert Burns, he did get tired towards the end, right? And that was a 3-rounder. But you would assume he would have gone and addressed that. He was very disappointed in that performance, and he was not happy. He wanted a flawless performance. So I think that Gilbert Burns fight probably was an eye opener for him, and that's what I feel will make him better. I'm predicting Khamzat to win. I just don't think it goes to 5 rounds, to be honest. I think we see a finish under 3.
Yeah, do you think with this beef, like Khamzat's just going to come out and try and finish him immediately, and Holland,
it's going to be.
he fight on the outside?
Khamzat generally fights very, very aggressively, right? And this, you add the emotions, and he's still very young in this organization, and he's not used to this big of a stage, right? He's still getting used to this superstardom that he's being given. I guess I don't know, man. Like I think he will go aggressive, but I don't think Khamzat will knock Holland out. I think it's going to be a submission. I think he'll put him to sleep. I feel.
Okay, put him to
That's
sleep.
what I feel. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But hey, man, Holland winning would make everything a lot more fun. You know what I mean? It's just spoils the party. You all of a sudden got a new contender, right? Don't forget, 2 months ago we were talking about Usman and Khamzat fighting for that title, and Khamzat will be the one to dethrone Usman. Today, at this point, Khamzat's not fighting a contender, and he's missed weight. There's a lot of controversy, and on the other side, Usman lost to Edwards. Everything's changed. The landscape changed. So Holland winning could make things a lot more interesting.
And so Holland was supposed to fight Rodriguez, right?
Rodriguez, yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel Rodriguez.
So that was a pretty still tough matchup too.
Yeah,
I don't think it's sort of changed in toughness too much.
Nah, I don't think so. But Rodriguez is a sorry about that phone. He is a striker predominantly. So that's the only thing. So if you're preparing specifically, that means you want to prepare for a striker, so which gives Khamzat the opportunity to mix it up and go to his bread and butter.
And of course, So you got Khamzat as a stoppage.
I feel like he'll submit him. Is what I feel. Very similar to the Li Jingliang fight. Li Jingliang is a very good striker himself, right? And then he was able to get under the strike, jump onto the legs, bring him down, and then drag him across. Actually, but there'll definitely be more. There'll be a lot of. Don't be surprised. There's going to be a lot of talking involved.
I think the Vegas crowd's going to really get into it. They were booing Khamzat. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere at this T-Mobile.
It is going to be. It's going to be exhilarating, man. It's going to be super exciting, and the crowd's going to be. I feel like the crowd's going to be pro Holland. I could be wrong.
Yep, I just think mutual respect. The fact that everyone took on the fight, like everyone's bought in on this. Maybe the UFC really. I think they probably had a loss with this event. They probably had to pay these guys a little bit more. But going to be fireworks. The third fight, Li Jiang versus Rodriguez. You reckon he's the most stiff, Li Jiang, with this whole situation?
Yeah, I feel like it. I feel like he got the bad end of the deal. Or the toughest, right? Because D-Rod is still a very strong fighter, a strong striker. He's also coming in heavier, which could play the Li's advantage, which could make him light on the feet. But it makes it difficult for D-Rod too, because obviously he's fighting a whole new fight. It makes it difficult to all of these guys because they're prepared for someone and they're fighting a different person. But then since that applies to everyone, right? The only other factor that's an additional disadvantage for Li is that weight limit. Whereas he's definitely fighting that heavier fight. And one good thing would have been, as soon as Li found out, he would have just stopped cutting weight, which is great for him. He wouldn't have had to drain himself. can't remember. I think he actually came in at 171, but he'll rehydrate back to normal, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like these guys are going to be a bit more hype because they're going to have a bit more energy. You know, they were able to start eating again soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
You know?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I think, man,
just that adrenaline of getting a new opponent. Like you said, take us through the mentality aspect of training and fighting for a dude, and then one day before the fight, you're fighting a different dude on national TV.
in the biggest organization for MMA, right?
Yeah.
Because it's crazy, man. It kind of makes you respect these fighters a lot more, how much they bring, you know, and how much they risk, you know, just to put on a show. Man, if this is Diaz's last fight, he'll definitely be missed. You know, who else does these kind of things, right? I can think of a handful of people, right? You got, like, you know, the Conor McGregors who do it, you know, who say yes to anyone. You know, Khabib do that same thing. You know, most of the time people obviously want to keep their records intact. Obviously, these don't play a part here, but yeah. Look, as I said, this whole shuffle has left me even more excited for the fights. I want to see the Holland Hamzat fight, how it plays out. I'm very excited for that. I also want to see the Diaz Ferguson fight. You know, how do two legends fare against each other? So
Yeah. And again, shout out to Poirier. He didn't have to agree. I wouldn't have agreed. He's too big of a name to just step in on a worthless fight, especially when he's on the MSG card now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But let's not forget, though, Diaz is a money fight, right? You know, because when you fight, assuming they would have promised him pay-per-view points, and Diaz obviously brings in a lot more eyeballs, and that's why Poirier has been campaigning for that fight. A lot of people have. Chandler was campaigning for that fight. Tony not necessarily campaigning, but you know, there was a fight that was spoken about a lot. You know, kind of where they're at in their careers kind of matches well with them doing this fight. So eventually, I'm happy it happened the way it happened, right? We still got like a very mouth-watering card tomorrow. The show still goes on, you know, and you know, we get to see some. I feel like this card will deliver. I feel like, don't be surprised if you see a lot of heavy security around the ring, the octagon. You know, funny because in the other episode I was talking about how the whole press conference thing reminded me of the Khabib Conor instance, or the Khabib Conor fight build up. Now this also kind of reminds me of another Khabib fight. This was when he was actually fighting for the title for the first time. He fought for the Waken title. He was meant to fight Tony. Tony dropped out. Then he was meant to fight Holloway. Holloway dropped out, and then there was what I'm trying to say is there was a whole lot of changes with that too. And then the whole bus incident in the back happened as well in that particular card. So kind of very reminiscent of that. Let's hope there's no drama afterwards. Did you realize also, CT, that this is not happening at the T-Mobile Arena, or not the standard room that they usually hosted in? Apparently, Kendrick Lamar's taken that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so I'm assuming there's different rooms inside T-Mobile, and probably the main one's taken. Kendrick Lamar's booked out that.
Oh, wow.
And you know, come catch the fights and then go see Kendrick Lamar drop some lines. You know.
Yeah. Oh,
First you come drop some bombs, and you go drop some lines.
Oh yeah, night of entertainment, and
crazy.
Obviously it's got real ranking ramifications now with the Holland Chimaev, whereas before I don't really felt like it had much ranking qualifications, you know, ramifications with that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and then what this has done is that, given the whole thing with Hamza before, if he had beaten Diaz, he would have still was guaranteed that title shot afterwards. But I feel this could, you know, impact that. Maybe they'll expect him to fight someone else, right? We could see him fight another strong contender before he has to fight for the title, right? Because he really didn't come in at 170. He has to prove that he can, because it's a title fight. You got to make championship weight. And that's when maybe they'll make a fight with him, and because we've heard Colby wants to fight at the end of the year, so maybe they'll make him and Colby at the end of the year. You know, and that could be the real number one contender fight. That's a competitive fight, right? That's
so he's
provided.
saying if Hamzat wins, he's got the shot again, the rematch against Usman Edwards. He'll fight the winner of that. Yeah.
If Hamzat wins, I feel he should still fight someone else because you're coming in not at the 170 limit for a welterweight fight.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Like he took the Diaz fight just because he didn't want to wait around, but he now is the whole thing's changed, the whole landscape changed, and he came in at 178. So I feel he needs to sort of show, look, I can make 170, right? And he comes in and he fights another top contender, like let's someone like a Masvidal or a because he's already fought Gilbert Burns, or a Masvidal or a Colby, or if they're both not available due to the legal stuff that's going on, we got the winner of Bilal Muhammad versus I can't remember his name. Bilal Muhammad's fighting someone. Who's he fighting? He's undefeated at the moment. Sean Brady. No, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm just checking it quickly. Pretty sure he's fighting someone. While I'm pulling that up, look, let's not forget, if Holland wins, right, that's a whole interesting scenario. So I just don't think he'll get a title shot straight away, but he's probably he'll probably have to fight another contender, but it'll definitely put him. Yeah, I was right. It was Sean Brady. So Bilal Muhammad was a Sean Brady. So the winner of that could take on Amsat for a number one contender. And then Holland wins. I feel the same. He'll need to then fight again for another number one contender before he can call for the title, because it's a tough division. 170 is a tough division. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. It's stacked now.
Yeah.
But the Rodriguez. Yeah. Did we get your prediction on the Lee Rodriguez?
Oh yeah, true. Okay, I'm gonna go with D-Rod, man. I'm gonna go with D-Rod. I think he's gonna pull it off. It's not gonna be. He's prepared. Same 3 rounds. Nothing changes for him. He's gonna fight another striker. He's tough, right? His last fight with Kevin Lee, he put it on him. He put it on Mike Perry and all these guys. So I think he's good. He's strong. He's durable. Lee's good, right? But I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like
he'll get. I think Lee will get stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same. Well, I hope like the UFC will appreciate him accepting the fight. Obviously, give him not sort of penalize him for losing. If he does lose, well, you never know, man. He could pull that. He could pull a win. So you never know.
Well, they might have just offered him his win bonus. For
I think they do. I think they would have. I think all these guys, maybe Bart, Hamza, would have got the win bonus.
Yeah, to make it happen, I think.
Yeah.
It's only fair. Like Lee wouldn't have been on a big packet anyway. So
I think,
just offer him his win bonus. They say, hey, it doesn't matter if you win or you lose, you're gonna walk away getting paid like you won, and your name and your reputation is only gonna go up.
Yeah, correct. And it's a small price to pay for the UFC to keep the show going. I mean, if canceling the show, scrapping that Diaz fight would have just destroyed this card.
Yeah, they booked the venue. Yeah, think about all the tickets they've sold that people want a refund.
Yeah,
they've booked the venue, and they've basically kept the show going. So they're gonna make money, and they might even make more pay-per-view points.
They could. I feel like this will create more excitement. People now want to see, the beef. The grudge match. They want to see the legends fight. So I think it worked out better for the UFC too. So they should have just done this in the first place.
Yeah, Diaz Ferguson. When Bruce Buffer says it's time, like it's going to be insane seeing those two OGs in the crowd.
It's going to be crazy. I'll tell you that.
You could be there to say you saw Diaz's last fight against El Kukui.
Yeah, correct. And what a way to end your career as well. So. I mean, we wish obviously all of them the best. I'm looking forward to the card. I'm sure you are too. So, we'll grab a cold one and we, watch this card and watch the fireworks and be entertained.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, it's been a short, rapid, quick revamp reaction. We're ready to go no matter what. Late notice, just like these fighters.
We're bring you guys.
Ready. Yeah.
We're ready always.
Let's get it on the next one.
Yeah, man. Until then, that's a wrap. So we'll catch you later, guys.
Yep. See you on That's a Tap. Peace.